Thank you for your interest in the new North Dakota unclaimed property law. As you can see from this infographic, property holders play a key role in a process that helps fund public education in North Dakota. Unclaimed property is a division of the Department of Trust Lands, which serves under the authority of the Board of University and School Lands. The division is dedicated to reuniting owners with misplaced property. The primary function of our division is to ensure that unclaimed property ends up in the hands of the rightful owner or heir. Unclaimed property staff members also provide education to ensure holder compliance with state laws. That is the purpose of this presentation, to make sure you have the information needed to provide timely, accurate holder reports. Unclaimed property, also referred to as abandoned property, includes, for example, savings and checking accounts, payroll checks, money orders, stocks, dividends, trust distributions, CDs, insurance policy payouts, overpayments, utility security deposits, mineral royalty payments, safe deposit box contents, and much more. Companies are required by law to send these funds and other properties from lost or abandoned accounts to the Unclaimed Property Division for safekeeping until the properties can be returned to their rightful owners. A few key terms are an important part of understanding unclaimed property. A holder is an entity that possesses a property that belongs to someone else. For example, a holder can be a business, a nonprofit organization, a government agency, or a financial institution. An owner is a person who has a legal right to an unclaimed property. Due diligence is an attempt by the holder to locate the owner. It is the holder's final effort to contact the owner prior to reporting the property to the state. Dormancy is the time that passes before a property is deemed abandoned. The state of North Dakota determines how much time must elapse before a property is considered dormant. These time periods vary by the type of property. As a holder of unclaimed property, you play an important role in this four-step process. The first step is to determine if the property has become dormant and is reportable. If so, the holder conducts due diligence by mailing the owner a letter to the last known address on file. If the property remains unclaimed, the holder reports it to the state through the Unclaimed Property Division, using the standard National Association of Unclaimed Property format available on our website. At the same time the report is being submitted, the holder also remits the property to the division. For most properties, holder reporting goes through June 30th, and reports are due before November 1st. The exception to this timeline is life insurance policies. The amount of time elapsed before a property is deemed abandoned and must be reported varies by the type of property. For example, a 1-year dormancy period applies to payroll or wages. A 3-year period governs safe deposit boxes, mineral royalty payments, and most other properties. And it takes 5 years before bank deposits are considered dormant. The first step in the due diligence process is sending notice to the property owner at the owner's last known address. A due diligence letter includes the response deadline, 30 days is recommended, the type of property, and the value of the property. Holders are encouraged to begin this process in the spring rather than waiting until closer to the November submission deadline. No more than 120 days can elapse between sending a due diligence letter and filing an unclaimed property report. When reporting and remitting a property, you'll need to include all of the following information if available: the owner's full name and last known address, the owner's social security number or taxpayer ID number, his or her date of birth, and the date of the last transaction. That's the date that starts the clock on the dormancy period. For example, if the property is a check, the date on the check is considered the date of the last transaction. The more information you can provide us, the easier it will be to get the property to the rightful owner. Payment or transfer of the property is due to the Unclaimed Property Division before November 1st. Please use the electronic reporting form available on our website. Since 1985, unclaimed property laws in North Dakota have been governed by North Dakota Century Code Chapter 47-30.1. Back then, business transactions were printed and stored on paper, unlike today's world of online transactions and databases. But as technology changes, so must our work processes. In 2021, the North Dakota Legislative Assembly repealed the old law and replaced it with North Dakota Century Code Chapter 47-30.2. The new law incorporates changes that are beneficial to property holders and owners, efficiencies in the Unclaimed Property Division's administration of the program, and many national best practices. A number of changes in the new law will be of special interest to you. The new law changes the due date from on November 1st to before November 1st. Any reports received on or after November 1st will be considered late, and penalties and interest may be applied. It lowers the aggregate property threshold from $50 to $25. Also, any property valued at $25 or more requires holders to go through the due diligence process. The new law modifies the dormancy period for some types of property. For example, the payroll dormancy period now is 1 year rather than 2, and the dormancy period for all checks is 2 years. We'll highlight more changes on 3 additional slides, but it may be helpful to know that examples of the new forms and an updated holder reporting manual are available on the Unclaimed Property website. As mentioned earlier, the new law changes the due diligence requirements for property holders to notify apparent owners of abandoned property. You'll want to carefully review North Dakota Century Code Chapter 47-30.2. It lists the penalties for failure to report, pay, or deliver properties. It also governs enforceability of agreements between owners and heir finders. If you're not familiar with the term heir finder, it applies to a third party who charges a fee to assist an owner in recovering a property. However, the Unclaimed Property Division provides this service at no charge. The updated law also addresses confidentiality and security of information, which are becoming even more important as identity theft and security breaches continue to increase. It describes and better defines how the Unclaimed Property Administrator may take custody of properties, and it clarifies the Unclaimed Property Administrator's authority to request property reports and examine records. The new law also details the administrator's role in depositing funds into the Common Schools Trust Fund, establishes and/or strengthens rules for determining if property is abandoned and which state may take custody, and covers the reciprocal exchange of property with other states by defining the process. The effective date of the new law is August 1st. However, the way the law is written, it will be in full effect for the next reporting cycle. So the cutoff for property remains June 30th, and the report is due any time between July 1st and October 31st. This means that for reports due before this coming November 1st, holders will need to apply the new law to the current reporting period of July 1st to June 30th. Here's a perspective on what property holders and the Unclaimed Property Division are accomplishing by working together. Since the Unclaimed Property Division was established in 1975, $183.6 million in unclaimed property has been submitted. $76.5 million in property has been returned to owners. $107.1 million in property remains unclaimed, and 1 in 7 North Dakotans has unclaimed property. So what happens while those funds are in the custody of the state of North Dakota? They become part of the monies managed by the Board of University and School Lands, which now cover 15% of the cost of K-12 public education in North Dakota. For more information, including the Senate bill that created the new unclaimed property law, go to unclaimedproperty.nd.gov. Holder Compliance Officer Susan Dollinger can be contacted at sdollinger@nd.gov or by calling 701-328-2800. Thank you for your interest in holder compliance with unclaimed property laws in North Dakota.